There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite, yeah, when we unite, oh, we unite, yeah, yeah, when we unite, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, let's take a deep breath and know there is a perfect divine order guided and directing each and every one of us. Yes, sometimes as a host facilitator, we invite people to do things and we get caught up in inviting and telling people and sharing with people. So I'm taking a breath. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you wherever you are at this moment in time. Thank you for tuning in to yourself first and then tuning in to Ade Presents, Being You, the journey back to yourself. This is the place where you give yourself permission to be transformed. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents Being You. And this is season 3, episode 24. And on Being You, it's about it's creating a space and opportunity for you to be you and to explore, to get curious about what that means. But there's some foundations that we have to support you. So the invitation is to really take a look at how you see yourself. Like, how do you really see yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see yourself in the world? And this is a big one. How do you see the world in you? That's important. How do you see the world in you? How are you showing up? How is the world showing up in you and as you? The theme for the month is Welcome to a New Earth. This is the new earth. We're living it. We're dancing in it. We're grooving to it. And if you don't know it, you better recognize it. We're inviting you to go to our main Facebook page for Being You Podcast. It is facebook.com, Being You Podcast. Facebook.com/Being You Podcast. There, it allows us to see your comments, your questions. If you're on other platform other than YouTube, we may not see your comments. But if you have questions or comments for myself or Rev D, who's going to be here real soon, go to facebook.com/Being You Podcast. And those of you on Instagram, same thing applies. Well, you can ask questions on Instagram because I can read it from here. And we're also streaming on YouTube, which is youtube.com/LC radio. Woohoo. Quick announcements. Check out Libsyn, libsyn.com, libsyn.com. If you're a podcast host, thinking about hosting a podcast and just thinking, I think I want to go in that direction. And basically, you need a hosting account, libsyn.com, libsyn. If you sign up with them, you will get some free money. Well, if you sign up today is the 6th, you'll get the rest of July free, and the west and the west of August, you get the rest of August free. But don't sign up on the 1st of the month. Okay, you can sign up any other time, but the earlier you do it, other than the 1st, the more time you get off. You've got to use the promo code ADE, ADE. Ricky Byers and I, we host a show every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time, called Soul Fulfilling. It is a beautiful song. Yes, Ricky shares beautiful songs. It's a prayer field. Sometimes I keep trying to figure a way to describe it, but you just got to be there. And you get to find out the stories about Ricky's songs, what Ricky is creating, what she's downloading, what she's delivering. It's really, really, you got to check it out. If you like Being You podcast, you got to be there. July 8th, I want to let you know that I am being interviewed by my friend Liz Dilnott. We're taking the plunge. That's the name of the gathering. It's on Zoom. And if you want to register and join us, it is 7 p.m. UK time. That's right? Yes. Thank you very much. Which is 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's July 8th. So that's 2 days from now. If you want to join the conversation, find out times I took the plunge and other times where the plunge took me, and how I navigated swimming in the plunge. This link is bit.ly/TTPLIZ or Z. If you're in America, Z. If you're in the UK or Europe, Z, or Canada too. bit.ly/TTPLIZ or Z. That will take you there. You can register. Tuesday, July 13th, Interplay Europe. We have a gathering going on for people in UK, in Europe. in other parts of the world, and of course, America, because it's on Zoom. So everybody's invited. The theme is Restory to Restore. Do you want to re-story tell a new story about yourself, about life? Not necessarily negative. I mean, that's part of it, but not the negative ones, but even that. But the stories that you think you knew, that you were convinced that's the way it was, it's an opportunity to restore that and change that. Hey, Pat, nice to see you. Nice to see you live. So yeah, if you want to join us live for the Interplay gathering, Europe gathering, the link is bit.ly/interplay restory. Interplay dot no, bit.ly/interplay restory. RESTORY. Because that's what we do. We tell a new story because we can. I think that's the announcement. Quali's in the house. Nice to see you. So I've seen you in a while. She checked in UK time at 1:11. Not UK time, US time. 1:11. I like that number. It speaks to me for whatever reason. How are you guys doing? It's been a while since we've been here. You know, we're on a new schedule for a few months. First Tuesday of the month and the third Tuesday of the month. First and third Tuesday of the month. And June had 3 Tuesdays, which made things kind of like, I was like, what? Oh, no show next week? So at 5, thank you. My mouth and my brain, sometimes they're just doing their own things. I'm grateful that I can listen to all my guides, whether they're non-physical or physical beings who can like say, no, not 3, 5. Yeah, so June had 5 Thursdays. Tuesdays. Okay, enough. Y'all already know what June. This is July, so let's not talk about the past. New Jace, nice to see you, my dear sister. We are not talking about the past. That's what's happening. Rev D is in the house. We are talking about making the invisible visible. What does that mean for you? What does that bring up for you? I want to invite you to check out Rev D's website, see what she's up to. She got classes going on. And what Rev D is about, really, her work is about making the visible visible and creating space for the part of the invisible that we sometimes don't want to be with. She creates a space for you, for us, for everyone to kind of learn how to dance with the invisible part of ourselves that we want to push away individually and collectively. And we're living in a time now where the invisibility is making itself known. And it's showing up in all kinds of ways. Rev D's website address is deborahLjohnson.org. Deborah with an H, L, Johnson.org. And if you do Rev Deborah Johnson on all the social media platform, you will find her, you will see her. A new earth, that's the theme for this month. And I'll be sharing more about that on the third Tuesday when I fly solo. But what does that mean to you, a new earth? You know, many of you, like myself, probably heard about that the first time when Eckhart Tolle and Oprah did that global, they were so ahead of the time, global, not a Zoom, virtual class, that's what I'll call it, master class. And, you know, we're in a place now where those things that we learned, that we talked about, whether it's through the spiritual teachers, whether it's from friends, whether it's your spiritual center, whether it's your church, your synagogue, your mosque, wherever you were learning the things that's to come, it's time to recognize it is happening now. It is happening now. Sometimes I work for like 2-3 hours and I feel like I've worked a whole day. Like, oh my God, I feel like I've been doing since 8 o'clock in the morning to midnight. People are feeling sleepy, don't know why. People are feeling sort of depressed, don't know why. The body is shifted. There's a shift happening. And, you know, we went through the pandemic. Of course, there's a shift happening. So I hope that you're being gentle with yourself. I trust that you are being loving and kind. And the energy of this planet is definitely vibrating so rapidly. Things are happening that there are no words. We just don't even know why. And then there are other things that are happening. You're like, oh my God, I just thought about you. That happened yesterday too. That happened earlier today. Things are just happening so fast. And it's beyond just an idea now. It's becoming the direct experience. Sometimes it's showing up as dis-ease in the body. Headache, pain in the back, pain in the butt, pain everywhere. Like, what is going on? Breathe and push. Just keep breathing. Yes. So Rev D will be joining us in about 5 to 8 minutes. And I want to check in with you all. Let me just pull up all the things because we will be ready to go. There was something else I wanted to share with you. Oh, right. That's what it is. Speaking of this New Earth thing, because I knew there was something there. I want to leave this with you before we jump into the conversation where FD is. If you have an idea, if there's something you've been thinking about doing, a dream that you've been holding for a long time, maybe a dream that just kind of bubbled up in the last month, in the last year, I want to tell you that the time is ripe. The universe is ready to support you. You don't have to know how. You don't have to know how. And there are many things going on right now that we're like, well, I don't know, maybe not. The best thing you can do is say yes to yourself, say yes to your life, say yes to life. We went through that pandemic last year and a half. Whether you were directly affected or not, maybe you had family members who made transition from, being infected and affected by COVID-19, and you're still grieving that. That's all part of the healing. But what I will say is not but, and all of us, we need to understand, especially those of us who manage to go through it and grow through it and feel like, oh, I escaped that. And some people like, I wasn't even worried, Globally, we went through a shift on an energetic level, on a psychic level, emotional level, mental level. And it's still happening on a physical level. We're going through and growing through a shift. And the shift is happening so many ways. Think about it. Everything is energy. The energy we went through a year and a half ago, we've been transformed, because you can't create energy. You can't destroy it. You can only transform it. So we've been transformed, but some of us are still thinking like, okay, we got out of that. Now we're back to normal or the new norm. No, you're not the same person. You're changing the fundamental level. And the more you allow yourself to embrace that idea, the easier you can deal with all that's coming up. The easier you can make room and make yourself available for making the invisible visible. Financially, things are changing. We're hearing a lot of talk, a lot of conversation about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin. That's the one that you're like, what is that? Oh my God, I wish I got in early. I remember many years, 20 years or so now, and I got an email from Yahoo when it first started, and they were looking for people to buy stocks. And I was like, no, I don't think so. That's all I got to say. I wish I did. So cryptocurrency is one of those things that's happening. Whether you understand it or not, start investing. Investing in it, or I was going to say investigate, but yeah, maybe invest too. Well, that's what I'm doing. That's one thing I'm going to be sharing more about that. I'm going to do a live about that. Really looking into it. It's there. How we do money is changing, it's shifting. Get on it right now. Get on it. If you want to know, if you want to find out what I'm up to or need some more information or got some questions, you can send me an email. Go to my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com. You can send a mailing, you can sign my mailing list, and you can send me an email, and I will share some information with you. But I'm learning different things about cryptocurrency, and don't be left behind. I mean, there's always an opportunity to do things differently, but be wise in whatever you get involved with. Let your spirit be your guide. I'm going to be doing a live in the next few days about it. So I would obviously post and let you know. There are many things that happen. The way we're doing business is changing. There are people who weren't thinking about in business before, now in business. There are people moving, like in UK, there are people moving outside of London, where London was the place to be. People are now moving outside of London because they can work from anywhere. Things are shifting. There was a time where you would have asked at work, shoot, I want to start working from home. I'm like, are you crazy? You're an attorney. You're a doctor. You're a this, you're a that. You can't work from home. Nowadays, you try and come to work. They're like, oh no, we ain't ready for you to come back. We'll give you everything you need. Things are changing. We see it in the children that are being born, that are showing up. They come in here wise, clear. And it's not that they're better than us. It's not like, oh, they know something we don't know. Don't make that mistake. The babies, the children, the youth, the millennials, they're coming now is because we've paved the way. We've paved the way. It's not like they know something we didn't know. Everything that you're doing today is paving the way for the future ancestors. And they're paving the way for their future ancestors. You're all part of this ancestral journey. Everything is connected. Take it, digest it. Whatever worked for you, milk it. Whatever doesn't work for you, just push the delete button. So we're gonna bring on Rev D in a few minutes. And I am going to pull up her bio because we've okay. Yeah. It's all good. I need to pull something up here. Read Rev D's bio. Here we go. And while I do that, remember, we invite you to share your questions, your thoughts. It's good to listen, and it's good to add your 2 cents, 10 cents, whatever you got. 5 cents. I'm hearing that soca song in my head, but I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to do it. Oh, boy. So I'm going to read Rev D's bio, and then we're going to bring her on and share your thoughts, share your questions. How are you moving through this thing called life? How are you making the invisible visible? How are you dealing with the part of you that was once invisible and now showing up? And you're like, oh, my God. Maybe it's not you, maybe family members, maybe you've seen in the political system, things that was once not talked about is like out there. And you're asking yourself, why is this happening? So time for Rev D. Reverend Deborah L. Johnson is a lifelong social justice activist with a passion for healing social, political, and cultural divides. Founder of Inner Light Ministries, board member of the Pachamama Alliance, and founding member with Michael Bernard Beckwith of Agape International Truth Center. She is the author of The Sacred Yes, Your Deepest Intent, and she is serving and doing the work and doing workshops, classes every month, really. There's another one now that she's, I think is stepping out of the triangle. I can't remember now. It's disappeared, but Rev D will mention it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings, help me welcome my sister, my friend, my mentor, myself, Rev D. Hey, Rev D. Oh, I don't hear it. Oh, Rev D, you're muted, Rev D.
How you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm happy that you're here.
Happy to be here.
I love the colors.
Yeah, I decided I needed to get a new little look. During COVID, my hair started to grow. And I thought, well,
you were doing the Black Power thing, right?
Let's go for it.
It's so good to see you. Always good to see you. I have friends who have been saying, "Oh, Rev D's coming. Oh, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there during my lunch. I got to be there for this."
Well,
So,
you know, we always have a good time.
yes, indeed. And we never know where we're going to go, where we're going to end up. But hey, we know it's going to be good.
It's going to be good, my brother.
Yes. So let's just jump in. Let's jump in. People have been waiting. 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, I was kind of like listening for what we're going to talk about. And, I just said, whatever it is going to be revealed. I at least had 2 weeks. So I don't have to trip. And I picked up Sacred Yes. And I was reading for something on another day. I just was going to read it as I do. Sometimes I just open up to a page and go directly to wherever my eyes go. And that's always the message. This time I went to conflict resolution. And for those of you at home who have the book, is on page 259, I think it is. And as I was reading it, I just heard making the invisible visible. And I just knew that was it. And then, of course, sometimes when I get those downloads, I start thinking, "Ooh, Lord," and trying to figure it out and think about it. I'm like, ugh. But over the last few days, I've been getting more clarity about it. And so I love when I sent you the text and said, "You want to talk about making it visible?" You said, "Whatever you want to talk about." I bust out laughing. And it was funny because you were responding to me when I felt like I needed to explain what I meant. So your text came in just before that. I said, "Okay, she's on it. Okay, cool. We'll go wherever." So for me, when I think of making the invisible visible, I'm thinking of the power, the presence, where everything, everything that's ever created came from that invisible realm. And then I'm also thinking about the parts of ourselves, of my mind, of my consciousness, that is invisible, that is unconscious. And I feel like the vibration of this planet, of within us, through us, is speeding up. So there's some things that are showing up sometimes, and we're getting caught off guard. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts. I mean, wherever you feel like starting, as always, where the idea of making the invisible visible. What are your thoughts on that? What comes up for you?
Well, take a breath.
I know that's right.
And I'm really serious. Like, whoever's listening, like,
Right? Not
really
just
want you to take a breath, like right now, a deep breath. So, first off, I want to say that when we use the term, well, before I say that, can you show them the book? I don't have a copy in this room.
Yes.
And
It's
shamelessly say that if you go to my website, you can get an autographed copy.
Oh yeah.
Sent to you. Yeah. And
Page 59.
You'll get my website stuff later. And I'm saying that not just as a shameless plug, but it's become so popular, you can't find it anywhere. Not a regular copy for less than like hundreds of dollars. You can get Kindle versions. So I have the extra stash.
Autographed. I'm just saying.
So this idea of making the invisible visible, I wanted to be very clear that when we speak of that, it's not optional. Because we say it as though we could choose to do that or we could choose not to do that.
Right.
That isn't the case. At every moment of every day, the invisible is becoming visible. So when we say making the invisible visible, what we're saying is participate in the process consciously. Consciously, so that you can direct your energy, towards the things that you really want to see manifest. See, we bring about what we think about. And I know that's a catchy kind of alliteration, but it's really more we bring about wherever our vibration is. So that includes your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, conscious, but most especially subconscious, which is what you were just talking about. That all of that stuff that has our energy, it comes in to manifestation. But I want to take it like slightly different. This is what we speak of all the time. What we need to understand that is equally true is that everything already exists in the realm of the invisible. And we are lending our bodies, our minds, our consciousness to be conduits, to be channels, to bring it into manifestation. Even right now, okay, these words that we're using, where do these words exist? Where are they? See, they exist in the invisible. And when we breathe, when we put breath to it, we animate it so that we can see it. But when we can't see it or can't hear it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just everybody let that sink in. We tend to think that just because it's not right in front of us, it doesn't exist. It exists. It's just awaiting manifestation. It's awaiting to take form. It's like, where's music? Where is it? Where is love? Where's art? It's everywhere. Where is beauty? It's everywhere. From a more physics standpoint, it would be everything is energy. And when we can see it and touch it, it's vibrating at lower frequencies. The analogy I would make is water. If you slow the molecular vibration down of water, it'll freeze. It'll get very solid where it doesn't appear to be able to move. It's stagnant. If you heat it up and the molecules are going a little bit faster, it becomes fluid. It's not so stationary. It can move around. Okay. You heat it up even more, guess what happens? It evaporates.
Yes.
Okay. Where you won't be able to see it at all. And that's how it is with our lives. Is that we can go from frozen solid to where it feels like everything's immutable and we can't do anything about it. We can heat up the vibration and realize that everything's fluid, and we can really flow it over here, flow it over there, do some different things with it. We heat it up even more and we become so transcendent that we're not even attached to the form anymore.
And each stages have value, right? Because there's also that point where we say, I want to get to that stage where I can transcend it, because then I want to deal with this. But every stage has its own value.
That's a false paradigm. That's where our minds have been colonized into Western thinking. Like there's some place you can get to where you can arrive. There is no arriving. there's constant awakening and reawakening. There's no spot that's hot. See, in our Western thinking, we think of mastery as having arrived someplace. Mm. And we want to master it so we don't have to do it anymore.
Right.
When we master it, we think we're exempt. That's Western thinking. Hmm. If you go into African thinking, where we all began, if you go into Eastern thinking, which is older than Western thinking, it's just the opposite. Mastery is where you become so comfortable in the embodiment of it, you're going to do it all the time without even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. In our more indigenous soul roots, what we know is that there's always more to know.
Always.
And that enlightenment isn't that you learned it all. Enlightenment is being a constant traveler. Mm. That's the enlightenment.
Yes.
That's why the great mystics and masters don't stop. They're always meditating. They're always studying. They're always growing. They're always learning. It's like being in tune. A really fine instrument you have to keep tuning it and retuning. If you get a Steinway piano, oh, it's sensitive. Even if you just move it a couple of inches, it gets off. And you've got to recalibrate and recalibrate and recalibrate and recalibrate and recalibrate. So our job is not so much to know it all, but to make certain that we become good instruments that can keep recalibrating so that beautiful music from the gods, the musics, the celestial sounds from the heavens, that when it comes through us, it can actually sound like the heaven. That it won't sound like some broke down, rankety thing that I created, where we are so pure and we are so pristine that when you're hearing the music, you're not even hearing me play it. You're hearing the gods making it. And that's the place where we want to become. This is the akin to what we pray in the quote unquote the Lord's Prayer. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This conscious recognition that there's some patterns of healing and wholeness and justice and truth that already exist. Let us participate in its manifesting here.
I want to tie with that what you're sharing, that whole thing of recalibrating, fine-tuning ourselves as an instrument. That the things that are going on in the world today, socially, politically, is part of the process.
Oh, yes.
Of tuning ourselves.
Yes.
So we can birth,
yes,
express, reflect the invisible to saying, I'm coming through. I just need an opening. Who's open? Who's open? Yes. However, and I'm going to generalize and say probably almost everybody listening to this conversation would say, I totally agree. That resonates with me. I feel it. I know it. But there's something that happens when we observe the fine tuning about someone did something or something in the news or somebody's corporation has been now taking whatever, a politician, a leader or something. It seems sometimes that we forget that there's a fine-tuning process that's happening that is calling for us. And it doesn't call for everybody, really. I think one with God is a majority. That this whole process of making room for the invisible, it's a process of dying to what we know, dying to what we think is happening, and be willing to see something else.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Matter is neither created nor destroyed; it only changes form.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that we miss the most. Okay, everybody take a breath. Okay, clutch your pearls, whatever you got to do. Those of us who have been praying for planetary healing,
yes,
those of us who have been praying for social justice and equity and fairness, we have helped to usher in this time. It's not just happening to us. It is happening because of us.
Yes.
Okay, everybody just breathe. Just breathe. Get off the victim triangle, the drama triangle. I'm actually starting a new workshop on that 2 days from now. I'll talk about that later. The victim, villain, and the hero. Get off of it. Okay? Because here's what happens. Everything unlike what you want to manifest has to come up to be healed. Everything unlike what you want to manifest has to become up to be healed. And you cannot heal what you do not feel. You can't heal what you don't feel. How are you going to heal racism if nobody sees it? How are you going to heal racism if nobody feels it? How are you going to heal it when you can be in deep denial of it? Feel, deal, heal. You know that's one of the premises of the book. Feel, deal, heal. And don't get mad at everybody else for putting you in the position to feel something. Don't get mad at everybody else for putting us collectively in positions where we got to deal with something. This is our moment. And when we quit whining and crying about why is this here and what's going on, and I'm not saying it ain't deep, okay? We are in the deepest stuff I've ever seen, and it ain't no joke, okay? But sitting around and feeling like we are the victim of it does not help. Now is when we stand up and say, I am here to make the invisible visible.
Yes.
I am here to call forth the beloved community. I am here to manifest the highest heaven right here on earth. And I have the consciousness to be the healer. I have the consciousness to be the balm. I have the consciousness to heat up all of that frozen water so that it can be fluid water.
Yes.
See, in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu says, nothing is as fluid as water, but for dissolving the hard and the inflexible, none can surpass it. We got to be like the water that can go up and down through the cracks, through the crevices, lift things up, buoy it, knock and tear it down if necessary, but also to shower down and nurture it, quench the thirst of a hungry, hungry world. And we can't do that sitting around worrying about what everybody else done to us. Not that kind of party right now, my brothers and sisters.
No.
Pick up your bed and walk. There's a parable, it's a story in the Bible about this man. He's crippled, and he's sitting by the waters. It's the pool of Bethsaida. And this water has healing properties. It's actually a whirlpool. And it says that when the angels would come, the waters would get stirred up. And we have different hymns about that, you know, stirring up the waters, or the wading in the waters is from that there's a healing, that if you get down in there, something's going to happen to you. So according to this story, the angels would come down and stir up these waters. So it's like, it becomes like a sauna, like a natural whirlpool. And for 38 years, this man has come here faithfully, but he's never able to get into the water. So Jesus comes around and he's like, "What's up? What up?" And the guy explains to him, "There's no man to carry me down. I know I can be healed." See, Jesus hears his faith. But what Jesus also hears is that the man doesn't know he has the power, because the man's too busy looking outside of himself for somebody to take him down. And Jesus tells the man, "Pick up your bed and walk. Put your own self down in there." And we're like that man sitting by the side of the water, watching everybody else go down and get healed or whatever. And we wonder, when is it my turn?
Yeah.
Who's going to make it happen for me? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have compassion, but trust me, in the final analysis, the helping hand is at the end of your own arm.
Yes.
We got to know. We got to know. And all this stuff that's coming up, it is with purpose.
Yes.
It has to come up so that we can heal it. And I don't care whether it's politics or if it's your personal life. You may get mad when you find out that your kid is doing drugs or that your partner is cheating on you or whatnot. You may get really pissed. But you can't take the corrective efforts if you don't know. If you don't know.
So I could take every sentence and everything you share, just like we just go through it and come up with a book. There's something you said that I'm feeling that most people felt it. It's so powerful that it resonates with the deepest part of me, and I'm sure the listeners too. Yet it is easy to miss. So I want to highlight it. I want you to speak to it. You started to speak to it, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper with it. You said everything unlike what you want to manifest must come up to be healed. Everything unlike what you want to manifest must come up to be healed. And that process sometimes, I know for me, sometimes it makes me forget who I am.
It's not a sometimes, it's a guarantee.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a guarantee. Like my mentor Beckwith says, the truth shall set you free. First, it'll piss you off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like by definition, the healing is a disruption of your comfort zone. And the reason why it's a comfort zone is because you're comfortable in it.
Right.
So by definition, anything that disrupts your comfort zone is going to be uncomfortable.
And
Okay?
that's the healing, right?
By definition. But we pay too much attention to that. So what? So what? So what that it's uncomfortable? Because the truth of the matter is, most of us are uncomfortable in our so-called comfort zones anyway.
Yes.
We're angry, we're cramped, we're pissed off, we're frustrated, we're into the lack and the limitation and the blah, 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 blah. We're not happy. We're not happy. Staying stuck doesn't bring more aliveness. What is this fixation that we have with not feeling anything that's disruptive? What is that about? It is so unnecessary. If you think about it now, we have about 7 billion people on the planet. And I'm just talking about right this moment. That represents about 6 billion years worth of pregnancy right now. I'm not even talking about the past. So, yes, there are multiple births, but most are single. So that's 6 billion women, or 5.5 billion women who've spent billions of years in pregnancy just for us to be here right now. Do you know how hard it was for them to carry us to full term? Do you know what that did to their bodies as we're being ripped out of them? And yet, women keep having babies.
Yes.
We keep being born into the next thing. And somehow they know it's all worth it. Because they do it again. And they do it again. And they do it again. I'm not saying that all of it has been by choice.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that we're birthing ourselves. We're all of it. We're the baby. We're the mother. We're the midwife. And labor's not pretty. If you looked in on a woman in labor, you would think somebody's dying. And it's the juxtaposition of the beauty. And even the baby being born is dying to the comfort of the womb that it knew.
Yes.
And ain't happy about it necessarily. That's why a cry is one of the first things you hear, like, what the hell?
Right. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
What
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I was fine. I was fine. I had it cushy up in here. And yet, even within the baby, it knows it can't stay there. Even it knows there's got to be a next. There's got to be an evolution.
Yes.
So we need to pay less attention to the discomfort, less attention to the pain, less attention to the disruption, and more attention to the evolution. to the transformation, to the great release, to the potentiality that we have coming forth towards the newness, towards the creative expression, towards the wholeness, towards the integration, towards all the wonderful things that we're trading in for the smallness.
Yes. 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 So another way to just take this deep, if any of you is going through a hard time, challenge, struggle right now, just know that everything unlike what you want to manifest is coming up to be healed, and you're getting closer. You're in the middle of a healing process. There's so much in there. I want to invite you to check out Rev D. I just want to do a quick break here. Rev D's website address is DeborahLJohnson.org. That's DeborahLJohnson.org. Pat in the chat room and Electra was saying, I got to go get a copy. You definitely got to go get a copy. I'm not going to out you and say, what? You haven't gotten it yet? And those of you say, what copy? Copy of Sacred Yes. The Sacred Yes on IG, and those of you on YouTube. Mine is used. I know mine. Look. I don't know if you can see all the right. I write it. This book is like the Bible of the grandmothers. I got underlined, written like what? Oh, wait a minute. Take that in. Breathe on that. The Sacred Yes, and that's volume one of Letters from the Infinite, and volume 2 is Your Deepest Intent. Whichever one you're led to will be the right one. I promise you.
This is true.
Yeah, I promise you. If you're challenged with integrating what you're hearing about the spiritual ideas, and then you say, well, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I just can't seem to get a handle of it. The Sacred Yes, Your Deepest Intent is the bridge.
Yeah. What they are is that they're downloads.
Yes.
They are basically conversations, a one-way conversation that the divine is having with us. And I typically record it. And what you see published are transcriptions of the conversation. So, and I say that to say that if you do have it, read it out loud. Stop and read it out loud so that you can hear the cadence, the humor, the whatever it is that's going on there, and it will resonate with you more.
Indeed. And as I always say, when I started this conscious spiritual journey, because we're on a spiritual journey, period, whether we know it or not, I was hearing all the spiritual ideas. I'm thinking, ooh, yes, I want to be like that. I want to embody that. What the Sacred Yes and the Deepest Intent do to also highlight the small print. Like, yes, you're going to feel like you're out there naked. So what? You got to keep walking. You got to keep moving. And it just has a way of really making there's so many ways to describe it, but the conversation. I often say in the Sacred Yes and Your Deepest Intent, like your business is on the street, and you're you said it's my therapist note on the street.
Exactly. It's not even my diary. My diary will be my perspective. It's like my therapist notes being published, because it's the commentary about how we all show up. So it's news flash to me too. And I have the same experience you have. Every time I go back to published or unpublished, because I got hundreds and hundreds that are unpublished, it's like I never saw it before. Every time it's completely new. I see something I didn't see before. It hits me differently. It's one of those mystical kinds of writings that just, it's like that. I remember one of the last times I saw Ayana Von Zant. She uses the material a lot in her works. and she took the sacred yes, and she did this. She said, "I just want to eat it." She said, "I just." She said, "I just want to lick it like corn on the cob."
Ooh, yes, yes. I mean, it puts a whole new meaning to the living word. Really. I mean, it's spoken directly to what I'm dealing with, the questions I was struggling with. The one about authenticity blew me away. I couldn't sleep. 3:00 in the morning, I opened it. I'm like, this is exactly what I was thinking. Can I charge for this service? And what's too much? And Spirit was like, what are you talking about? But anyway, check it out.
Now, on Thursdays, I have like workshops that keep starting up every few weeks. So be next one starting on Thursdays. At 4:00 Pacific time, I've been teaching directly from that. So people who want to do like a Course in Miracles or something, like a deep dive into the sacred yes, I've been creating forums and whatnot for that.
Yes, yes, the holy word. So we got time, thank God, because we are it. This process, making the invisible visible, is an evolutionary process, and it's constantly happening even now. Few months ago, we did a show, and I titled it, what I heard was something about embracing the new vision.
Can I just interrupt you here for a second? Making the invisible visible is a repetitive process. But we determine a great deal whether it's going to be evolutionary or not.
Say more. I see now, but yeah, go ahead.
When you look at our social political landscape, part of the drama that we're in is based in our roots. You know, in a couple of hours, I'm going to be teaching another workshop on that called Reimagining We the People. The founding fathers never envisioned me. So that insurrection that we saw was making the invisible visible, but it wasn't evolutionary. It was a repetition of the problems that we've had since the beginning. With the way that we've been in contradiction with ourselves about slave states and free states, and that Confederate flag coming through there. That wasn't evolutionary.
Right.
Okay. This is what manifests is where our vibrational field is, and whatever needs to be healed will come up. So sometimes it will look backwards. It will look like your past before it looks like your future.
Yes.
It will look like the stuff you thought you left behind. And you'll be like, what the hell? Why am I going through this? Why am I going through this again? So as it's going from the invisible to the visible, it is an ongoing evolutionary process, because that's the way that life is. But what manifests itself may not be the representation of the future evolution. It may first look like that past that needs to be cleaned up. That process of it going from the invisible to the visible.
I feel woozy. I'm like, what are we doing again? I'm gonna start drooling. Like, wait a minute, I can't think. I get it. That's why I feel woozy. It's like, whoa, I gotta listen to that. Oh my goodness. Whew. Okay, we're doing a show here.
Yeah, I didn't want to like throw your thought off, but
no, I know where I was going. You got it. Yeah, perfect.
We need to make that
distinction. Yeah.
We need to make that distinction. It makes this point in the Sacred Yes all the time, is that when your thoughts and your actions start to become evolutionary, then you can have the revolutions that you're looking for. See, because the revolution to revolve, like what you're revolving around. We can't have the revolution because we keep revolving around the same old bullshit. See?
Right.
And when we evolve, then we can revolve around something else.
Whew. I haven't forgot my other thought. I got to say this. Like in this moment, there's a part of me that feels like, as I listen to the invisible, however it's showing up, like, whoo, this is a lot of work. This is hard. Then there's another thought like, wow, I am capable of doing that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I've been underestimating myself. This is happening through me. If I let it, oh my God.
Yes. Yes. We've got to get rid of this narrative of that it's too hard.
Yes.
That's colonization of your mind. See? Because what ends up happening with that narrative is that somebody's going to think it's not too hard. And they'll be the ones to set the tone. They'll be the ones to create the world that they want to have because they don't think that it's too hard. We just got through with the Declaration of Independence because they declare their independence from all that other stuff and said, I have the power to create the life that I want to have. So who are you going to be? Are you going to be the one that declares your independence and that you have the power to create the world that you want to have? Are you going to be, well, it's too hard. It's too hard. And then you just live in the world that everybody else created all over you. Let me tell you something now. It says in scripture that we have not been given a spirit of timidity or fear. We haven't been given a spirit of cowardice. That's not your spirit. That may be your behavior. That may be your consciousness. That may be your thinking. That may be your behavioral patterns. But it's not your essence. It's not your spirit. It says we have been given the spirit of power, of love, and a sound mind. And that power is exactly what you're thinking of. It is my favorite word in scripture. Dunamis, the Greek word dunamis, which means pure capacity. Power, agency, will, volition, choice. Not power over anything in particular, but just the pure capacity to do. You're not a noun, you're a verb. You are a verb. Hard doesn't exist. Hard is a state of consciousness. It's hard when you say that it's hard.
Yes.
But there's nothing that's absolutely hard. Learning how to walk for a baby seems to be hard because they don't know. Once you know, it's easy. It's hard till you do it. Learning to drive a car is hard till you learn to drive it.
Yes.
You don't want your kids walking around with a narrative all the time of everything being hard. Kids don't do that. They'll go, oh, it's going to be too hard to climb this tree. Oh, it's going to be too hard to crawl through this space.
Yes.
It's going to be too hard to run all over there and make a mess. It's going to be too hard to paint this picture. That's not where they're coming from. We.
Like, you hurt yourself. They're like,
what else can I do? What else can I get in? What else can I?
Oh, boy.
You know, because in their minds, they've got dunamis.
Mm-hmm.
and are frustrated when something's in their way. Why can't I climb up on this thing?
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. Why not? Somebody help me. Because they're driven by this internal force that says, yes, I can. They don't even know it's dangerous. They don't even know that they're not supposed to do it.
Right?
They haven't figured out that just because you can doesn't mean you
Doesn't
should.
mean you should. Right? And if you should, you're gonna shoot on yourself like, ooh.
They haven't figured that out yet. Just because you can stick that wet finger in the socket doesn't mean it's a good idea.
But you're gonna learn today.
My point is that we are too caught in our narratives of powerlessness,
Yes.
of all what I can't do, and how hard it's gonna be, and how long it's gonna take, and how inconvenienced I'm gonna be, and how different it's gonna be from everything that I had before, and all the rippling effect that it's gonna make in my life with my relationships and my job and my You know that favorite quote of Audre Lorde's. I'm saying it all the time.
Yes.
When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. When you're using your strength in the service of your vision, it's just less important whether you're afraid. It's less important whether it's hard. It's whether important if it takes a long time. Where would we be if the ancestor was like, ooh, Lord, getting out of slavery is just going to be too hard.
Too hard. I ain't doing this.
Trying to get free, trying to get on the freedom chain. Whoo, child, that's just too hard. That's right up there with the women. Whoo, keeping the race going. That's just too hard. No, because let me tell you something. You weren't promised easy. What you were promised was resilience. That's the only thing that any spiritual tradition promises you. You are promised transcendence. You are promised that you will not perish, but you will have everlasting life. And people mistake this for like a heaven or thing over there. This everlasting life is the Greek zoe. It's described as nobler than biological life. The zoe is total aliveness. You will not perish. You will not wither. It's not die, biological death, or you'll live on biologically forever. But if you practice the presence, if you believe in your huios, the Son of God, this huios is likeness and character that anybody can be. When you live into that, you know that when the winds and the storms come, not if. Jesus explained at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, the last part of the chapter of the 7th chapter of Matthew, in the two foundations, the wise man and the foolish man, one built on the rock and one built on the sand. He who hears these words and does something with them is likened to the wise man who builds his house upon the rock. And when the winds and the rains come, the house still stands. And whoever hears these words of mine and doesn't do anything with them is likened to the foolish man that builds his house upon the sand. And when the winds and the rains fall, great is the fall of the house. This wasn't a construction lesson. And Jesus wasn't being negative, telling you that your house will fall if you build on the sand.
Right.
You do this, you get this. You do this, you get the other. But both are subjected to the wind and the rain. The one who built his house upon the rock wasn't exempt from the weather.
Mm.
You got to go through the same storms as everybody else. But if you stand in your dunamis,
Yes, in your power. Your
if you
truth.
stand in your power
Mm-hmm.
and claim that as your essence, we are given the spirit of power. You still stand. You restore, you rejuvenate, you resurrect. We have been given the spirit of power, of love. That's the agapeo love. That's the oneness love. That's the choice love. That's the interconnected love, where we are never separate from anybody or anything. That sound mind, technically speaking, is really self-discipline. The dunamis, that we have been given the power. And we have been given the self-discipline to direct that power in the direction of the oneness love. That's the spirit that we have been given. Be not conformed to this age. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes.
And your mind isn't just your intellect, it's your whole being. We're conforming to this age. You can inform, you can take the forms with, you can conform to go with the form, you can reform, you can move them around, but you can transform, to go beyond. Anything that's trans is in motion. It's moving beyond what it was before. Move beyond the previous forms. We are here for such a time as this.
Yes.
And I have the passion. You know, I'm a prophet, but I've got the passion of the old prophets in me right now. And I'm so right now to tell everybody listening, you don't have the time. We don't have the time. You don't have the luxury to be afraid. You don't have the luxury to be tired. You don't have it. The house is on fire.
Yes.
Our democracy is at stake. The world as we know it is at stake. And we don't need more of your judgment. We don't need more of your mealy mouth or lack or limitation or villainization. We need your love.
Yes.
We need your courage. We need your possibility, hope, heart open, possibility, engagement. We need you now. For we are here for such a time as this. We are here for such a time as this. Do I have time to share that story?
Oh, yes.
For such a time of this comes from Hebrew scripture. It's the book of Esther. Esther was a very beautiful Jewish woman. And her uncle Mordecai put her up to be potentially one of the wives of the king. And she was selected. And there were these times throughout Hebrew history where there was all kind of genocide created against them. Particularly this idea of slaying the firstborn, particularly the Jewish males. That's what was going on in Moses' day. That was what was going on in Jesus' day. They didn't know where he was. Let's just slay all the Jewish boys. Some stuff was about to go down. But the king didn't know she was Jewish. And Mordecai goes to her and says, yes, this may be putting your life at stake. And this may be a big risk to you. But perhaps you're this close to him. Perhaps you're in the royal family. Perhaps you're in this position of power and influence for such a time as this. Where your risk, that one little thing that you might be able to say from the vantage point where you are could be that trim tab, that little thing in the rudder of the ship underneath, little flap, that it puts a pressure that makes the water, resistance against the water that turns the ship. So even a 1 degree shift would change the entire trajectory to where you land.
1 degree.
We are here for such a time as this. We're like Esther, living in the comforts of all the stuff around us in our little tent. And now is the time for boldness.
Yes.
Now is the time not to judge and to complain, but to speak the word. To speak the word. See, democracy is a relationship. I used to think it was an institution until just a couple of years ago. And now I realize, and then I thought, well, it's like a game and you got to play by the rules. There's not like the game anymore, but it's just a relationship. That's all that it is. Will you follow the rules? Can we trust you? Will you step aside when your turn is finished
Right.
and let somebody have the next turn? Will you tell the truth? Will you stand up? Will you listen to me? Will we do this thing together? It's just a relationship. And I heard that spirit voice telling me not too long ago. It said, if you're going to fight for the democracy, you've got to fight for the relationship. It says, and what you know about fighting for your relationship is that you've got to stop fighting.
Yes.
If you're fighting to save your family, you can't save your family by fighting everybody in it. You can't save your marriage by constantly fighting the one in the marriage with you. That to fight for it, you got to stop fighting with the people in it.
Yes.
It's like, how will I know that you really want this marriage? How will I really know that you're standing up for this family and not just tearing it apart? What is it about you that's going to be an invitation to me
Yes.
to meet you in a mutual healing? How will I know that you actually love me?
Yes.
Can people feel your love or just your wrath? Can they feel your vision or just your pain? Do your words, your social media, does it speak of what you want or merely of what you don't want? We're always bringing the invisible to the visible. What are you making visible?
Well, You used the reference of ice, water, and steam earlier. And at the beginning of the show, we had some technical difficulty. I was feeling kind of icy. And then Satima and I did prayer. We said, we bless all this equipment, and it was fine. Now, every time I pick up this glass of water, I'm literally grabbing it because I can't feel it. My whole body has just become so, almost feels like fluid, like flexible. And
It is.
you've taken us to, I don't know about
That's
everybody
when
else.
we can change.
Yes.
That's when we can transform. When you feel that.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you don't feel stuck.
Yeah.
Like right now, there is so much electricity going through me.
Yes.
I could make Lazarus rise.
Yes, I feel it. I feel it. I'm holding myself with this, like this, like, whew.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we walk around in the world like that, it is done unto us as we believe. Spirit makes that definition all the time. Into, you are aware of how the things are going to impact you. We go into things for that, relationships, training programs, or whatever. Unto is the opposite. When you step unto, you transform everything around. It is impacted by you. That's why it is done unto you as you believe, because whatever it is that you were taking with you, the universe is responding to that. Yeah.
If y'all ever go to a social gathering and Rev D's there, you're going to be the last one to leave if you're interested in truth, and you won't even remember if you ate or not, because it's just like, oh, I am just so grateful for you, and I thank you. I thank you for being that space, that bridge, that reminder, holding the vision and telling us this is not the time to give up. I'm grateful for who you are being in my life.
Thank you.
Telling you, for who you are being in my life. I love and appreciate you, and look forward to talking with you on the show again next month.
Yeah. And I invite everybody, follow me on social media.
Yes.
My ministry, Inner Light Ministries. And like I said, there's a class, a workshop that I'm going to be starting very soon, day after tomorrow, off the drama triangle. It's 3 Thursdays in July, and it's all about this. It's all about how can you recalibrate and not get caught up in this drama. So it's very, very interactive, playful. You have fun while we're doing it. It's not a webinar. You work. It's a workshop. Yeah. And even if you can't participate live, you get all the materials and whatnot. It's all via Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah. So it starts on the 8th. July 8th.
2 days from now.
Yes.
Yeah. DeborahLJohnson.org. Those of you on Instagram, Deborah with an H, LJohnson.org. You can find information there. You can also go to innerlightministries.org.com. Whichever one you use will take you to the same place.
Yeah.
And pick up the book. Pick it up. Just pick up the book. Pick up your bed and pick up the book. If you can't pick up your bed, pick up the book. It will help you pick up your bed, and you'll be able to walk and be the messenger. Thank you, Rev D.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Love you.
All right. Take care.
Peace and blessings. Yes. Woo-wee. My goodness. What? There's nothing else to say. I'm just not even foolish enough to try and add to that, because it's been said. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And I want you to know that I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I thank God for you. Quick announcements as we get ready to log out, sign off. 2 days from now, July 8th, 7 p.m. UK time. That's 7 p.m. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. Join me with Liz Dilnut for taking the plunge. And then next Tuesday, July 13th, 5:45 p.m. UK time, which is 12:45 Eastern. Join me for what is it again? Interplay. Interplay. Woo, I tell you, I'm in a different place. Thank you. And you can go to bit.ly/interplay reach story. Once again, I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you all for being here. We are out. We'll see you next week. And yes, you're welcome, Pam, Quayle, Teresa, Electra, Sandra, Faith Walker, and all the other viewers, listeners, and those of you, New Jays, those of you who what I call silent listeners, thank you for being here. Go to my website, lifecoachade.com, lifecoachade.com, sign up my mailing list. Oh, the link for taking the plunge on Thursday is bit.ly/TTP TTPLIZ or LIZ. All right. I'm out of here. I hope you're feeling what I'm feeling. I hope you've been lifted. Now take this consciousness. You're welcome, Electra. Take this consciousness and multiply it, act it, live it, be it, show it, represent it, because that's the healing that you need and that the world needs. Peace and blessings.
Be who you are. Let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. Welcome here, love is welcome here, peace is welcome here, you are welcome here.